So welcome. This is going to be, we're going to speak in English, and the only reason for that is that this paper was sent into the conferences also outside of Poland, and we're going to talk about the adaptability, the stories based on our work for Motorola Solutions for many years, and we'll shortly introduce ourselves.
Yeah. So this is Tomek. Actually, Radek introduced Tomek already, but Tomek is test team leader in working in Motorola Solutions Systems Polska. He is also active member of Father OK community, and active father of 3 kids, which I believe takes most of his free time outside the office.
And this is Łukasz, and besides his football passion, he has a passion for working with teams, and he worked with multiple teams, testing teams in Motorola Solutions. And with that, we'll start with the key takeaways, but before we go there, I will tell you that I have some gadgets sponsored by SJSI, Stowarzyszenie Systemów Informatycznych. And to win these gadgets, you will need to take something from this presentation about adaptability that will not be shown on the slides. And there will be one more contest, so I have 3 gadgets for that. And our first takeaway from the talk, we'll start with that, is that adaptability is a key skill, both in the natural environment as well as in the work environment.
Yeah. The second one is something which enables us to learn faster and be more successful. So if we admit to failure, we can adapt faster to our environment, our work.
And the third one is that the work environment changes, and work environment adaptation can improve the happiness of the team and the project results as well. So this is the third takeaway, and with that we are going to give you 3 stories. One comes from the natural environment, and there is a second one.
Yeah, the other 2 are from our company, which we came through over last several years. The first one, in fact, is a process adaptability story, which I experienced over the past, let's say, 2 or 3 years, and ended that with some interesting takeaways. The second one.
And the third one is about working with the systems and integration test team. I will tell a bit later about this story. And with that, we will go through the definition of the adaptability.
Yes. So what is adaptability by definition? Is ability or willingness to change. And this is the Cambridge Dictionary definition. However, I added here I believe the key word, which is our, because without it, I simply believe it doesn't work. So in my opinion, in our opinion, this is our ability and willingness, and this is the key word here. So, Tomek, let's start with the first story.
So I will share the first story, and your task will be, the first task is to guess the name of the animal. If there are any members of my team who might have seen this presentation, please do not guess it. But for all the others, you can get a gadget sponsored by the Stowarzyszenie Jakości Systemów Informatycznych, and your task is to guess the name of the animal. So I will describe it slowly. So this animal has a fur and has a, sorry? Correct. So after the presentation, you will receive the power cube.
Yeah.
You are pretty fast. So this animal, without further describing, we know it as a lone hunter, and it is a great example of the adaptability in nature. So we know it as a lone hunter because it hunts for food when when there's a spring and summer, it hunts for food. So it hunts for small animals like rabbits or mice or even the birds. And this animal, what it does is just chases for this food. And when the season changes, when the fall spring, when the fall comes and before the winter, the small animals are not longer available, right? So it needs to change its attitude. So what wolves do is that they join the herd. So they build the teams, and the reason for that is that they need to hunt for the bigger animals like sheep or deers, right? And especially in the winter, and it's not so easy for them to hunt for the big animals. So. And yes, so this animal also has a bad reputation in our society. I don't know why. Maybe because it had eaten a little Red Riding Hood, which is Czerwony Kapturek, and so when it joins the team, they have the alpha male, and the alpha male is the leader of that team, and this leader is responsible for making decisions in that team. So what he does is he makes decisions which animal they will hunt for and what are the roles in that team. And what he does also is that he decides which wolves will chase for the animals and which will attack. And he also decides who will eat first, second, and so on. So he makes many decisions. And also he solves the conflicts in that team, and he plays with the young wolves, so he takes care of them and he plays with them, and with that he uses that playing method as a way to enhance. He uses it as a teaching moment. So as an example, he teaches them how to control their aggression, and the main goal of that adaptation in the wolf family is to survive. So they have that very strong drive to survive. And so it's with that story I would like to pass the voice to Łukasz to come to another story from a different environment.
Yes. So let's switch to our work environment and talk a little bit about this. But first, the digression about my football passion and my favorite team. Yeah, you know what is the most charming for me as well? That my kids are football fans as well, and they guess what is their favorite football team? No. Legia as well. Yeah. Okay.
There are other teams.
Yes, of course, they have any choice. You know, my daughter speaks with her colleagues at school about football and Polish league, and they have very good conversation about this. But let's start about process adaptability. So, you know, for several years in my current company, I was working in subscribers team. This team was about embedded software testing. Actually, over the time, we evolved to pretty pure Scrum-based process. Actually, the team was pretty big, over 50 people, 50 testers, so really big team. But we have limited interactions between these teams. We had software delivery every 2 weeks from development. Actually, this was our backlog. Features were tested by teams. People were pretty happy about this team, so they were quite successful. Goals were met. Everything was pretty okay. But actually, right now when I'm thinking about this, I noticed that also one of the key elements over there was that we had a lot of experience in our work, and it was one of the factors why this team was successful. Besides that, the process was also very good. But at some point, as it is in our lives, a company decides that this project needs to be transferred to other office. So it was time for change for all of us. For me, for team members, and we moved to other teams. Yeah, and few words about my new team. Actually, when I was transferring, I was thinking about a new team that this is pretty similar to the old one. A small digression here. I have a picture here of 2 baskets, and this is my daughter keeping these baskets. One question to you will be over a minute. No, nothing at all with football. So, short story, we were on the market. It was before Easter holidays, so we were about to buy a new basket. I was with my daughter. We took this picture, sent to my wife, because of course you need to ask your wife if you need to buy anything. Yeah, and guess what was her answer? Which basket to choose? None of them. Correct. I'm very good. Exactly. Okay, but going back to the team, so yeah, we were in the same department, we had the same boss, so no changes here. Also, job domain, pretty the same, testing is testing, yeah, no matter what you test. And even almost, I would say, half of the team was the same. The other part were from other teams. And the new team had pretty known issues when I noticed when I joined it. So, for example, lack of transparency, daily changes in work assignment. Actually, this is this was one of the key points that they were complaining about. And this picture tells a lot about this. So this was direct work assignment. I'm your boss. I will tell you what to do today. Tomorrow, I will tell you what to do tomorrow, and so on. Yeah, you know that, or hopefully not. Okay. And there was also lack of the direction and goals, and actually what was good, that team itself wanted to be self-organized, which is pretty good and tells a lot about people motivation and what they wanted to do and achieve. Yeah, so what to do? Of course, yeah. Take old process, move this to the new team, and it should work, of course, yeah? But, yeah, and the but is the key word here. Yeah, over the time we learned, yeah, there is more dependencies, yeah, and environment is different, and even the team itself is different, yeah, so I said that some of team members were moved with me, but some others were from other teams. And what else? On top of the first boss, there was a second one. Yeah, and personally, for me, it was one of the hardest thing to understand. Yeah, which boss is the most important one, which listen to, yeah, and who is right. But you know, this is our life in big companies. I don't know if you are familiar with this or not, but if you work in a big company with thousands of people, I think you know what I'm telling about. So, you know, so using the old process, actually, we were feeling that we are beating our heads against the wall, and unfortunately, the wall is hard, yeah. And our heads are also hard, but the wall is harder. So, but that was my feeling, and I was fighting, trying to using old process for a long time, but you know it was not working. We were failing. Going back, that's why these faces are not so happy here. Also, the biggest challenge was to deliver goals. So Scrum is goal-based, and it is important to set up proper goals and yeah, to have motivated people in a team to fulfill these goals. And it was not so easy. Okay, so what we could do? We adapt, yeah. So, you know, I put here that we moved from Scrum to Kanban. In fact, I would say that this is mixed methodology. And personally, my impression and my thought is the following, that we cannot strictly follow any process. Yeah, we need to be flexible. We need to adapt to reality, to our environment. We also need flexibility because of our bosses. Yeah, so they give us different tasks, and we have stakeholders, bosses. For example, throw-ins. In Scrum, you cannot have throw-ins because you need to replan your Scrum. In Kanban, you can have, but you have to handle this properly. We also learned how to identify dependencies. We are still working on this, on proper blockages assignment. I have this picture here. So for example, we introduce a column of blockages, then we removed this because it was not working. We put a section of improvements, then we remove it. This was a very nice idea about estimation. So we were talking pretty a lot about number estimations, and at some point one of the team members suggested, okay, so let's remove numbers and replace it with animals. Yeah. Once we did it, this discussion was gone. Yeah. Simple, but takes time to understand this. Yeah. And what is important, and at some point sad, but also this is the truth, yeah, that some people didn't want to adapt. Yeah, so, and finally they left the team. They moved to other teams. They were not fired. You know, it was their decision to move something somewhere else. Yeah, because for some reasons they decided that this is not, actually it's not working for them. So let's move on to Tomek's story.
Okay, so it's going to be based on my experience working with the systems and integration test team, and there are people from this team in here on this room, so I will be careful when I speak about that. But actually, this is the adaptability experience that I failed, I will say, and will lead to conclusions that you will see over there. And I will also mention something about the Scrum and also the Kanban. So with that, I will start what the systems and infrastructure test team do in Motorola Solutions. So generally speaking, this team is a group of experts that builds the complete telecommunication system. and this system is the radio telecommunication system that might have a huge coverage, like for the country, like for the whole Poland or for the whole United Kingdom. And this team performs end-to-end testing, right? So it tests for the new functionalities, new features, and also tests for the existing ones. So it performs the expert test, exploratory tests, some of the scripted tests, and also some of the regression. So this is it. And perhaps this team does a bit more that I will not mention in here, but I will also say that that we work there in releases which are a group of projects. So we take a group of projects or group of features and we test it for 3 to 6 months. And this team, with that testing method, finds roughly from 300 to 500 defects per release. So this is pretty a lot in my opinion. So this is the last phase of testing for Motorola Solutions before we ship the whole system to the to the customer or to the country. And with that, I will mention that when I joined this team over 4 years ago, I wanted to work the same way as the previous leader did. So my role was to lead the release, and the way he worked is actually he was a very smart guy. So he knew the whole team, and he had a lot of technical experience, not only the managerial one, and he delegated the tasks on the individual's level. So he said, Mr. A or Mr. B, please work on this set of tests or on these tests, right? And please do them, and this is based on the company needs, and this is what we need to test, and we believe that this is the thing that you can do best because based on your experience and expertise. So he worked on the individual's level. And when I joined this team, the environment changed. So in the release that I was supposed to be responsible for, we hired more people. So the team grew from, up to 25 people from roughly 15. And also there were more systems built there, and the complexity of systems increased as well. And that was it. The release was even bigger. So there are more features to be tested in that release. And with that environment change, I tried to adapt and I tried to work the same way. And actually I couldn't. So there were many people and there were a lot of expertise that I lacked. I didn't have that, and I missed that expertise. And I didn't know the people well enough, so I haven't worked with them before, so I didn't know all their background, so I couldn't delegate the tasks on the individual level effectively. So I tried to adapt, and I failed. So that was my failure. And at that time, when I realized that, I approached a mentor, and that was a breaking moment for me because as Albert Einstein said, once we accept our limits, we can go beyond them. So I approached my mentor and later on my manager, and after many discussions, we decided to make changes in the environment. So here's what we did. So we decided that the teams will be working as a sub-teams. So we divided the whole teams into the sub-teams. And actually, people divided themselves, so they have chosen who they will work for. We just set some boundaries for that, and that worked nicely because they just liked that, and they were the multi-skill teams. So that means that people were both. They have a different level of experiences as well as a different level of expertise, of course. So there were experienced people and brand new people in the teams, and also we decided that I will delegate the tasks or the tests on the team level instead of the individuals level, and that the team will work in the iterations. That means that the planning happened in the beginning, and also the retrospective happened in the end, and we received feedback with that, and we use the Kanban boards, of course, instead of the Scrum board, and we look for the flow of tasks. So we had a limited work in progress number, and that was it. So these were the environment changes that we made, and with that I will tell you what are my observations. So people were collaborating very nice, and the knowledge transfer was at a good level. So that means that they felt very open and empowered to collaborate and pair when they wanted, and do the new things and learn the new things. So more experienced people taught the less experienced people, and also people felt more integrated within the sub teams, and they solved their conflicts. So less issues were escalated above them. And finally, the release was very effective because we have found a lot of defects, and that was very nice. And my personal feeling is that that people were more happier with that organization, more open and more integrated. So I still have 2 gadgets, and I have a proposal for you. So either based on that adaptability story, you can figure out something that can enhance your adaptability, or you can tell us what are the key takeaways from this talk, and then you can get a gadget.
I got a question. You mentioned that you failed, and you didn't answer how you failed.
Okay, I didn't. So the question was, what was my failure, right? The failure was that I couldn't effectively work with everyone, with every individual from the 25 people team. Actually, the day was too short for me, and I was working very hard. I worked like 10 hours a day, 50 hours per week, and that wasn't enough. And I was very tired during that work very soon. So then with that failure and admitting that, we started discussing how to make a modification in the team and in the work environment. And also I will mention that before you take the key takeaways, hopefully, I will mention that there was one cons, so one minus of this environment change when this organization didn't work very well, was the installation time. So this is the phase of the project where we are supposed to either install the whole system from scratch or make the upgrades, and we were requested to do it as soon as possible. So the time was measured for that task, and the senior leadership team thought that was not testing time, so they really wanted to do it as fast as possible. And with that organization that I described, we weren't so much successful. So people were doing things that they either paired, or they either worked in pairs, or they work on the things that they have not done previously, and that take a longer time. So that was the reason that didn't happen very well. It is better, actually, yes, it is. And so I have a question to you. So what about your personal adaptability? How would you, before I will give you a gadget, how would you increase that for you? So how what would you do to increase your capability to adapt in the new environment? Instead of leaving, of course.
Yeah, I also, I, I try to imagine that the grass is always greener in our neighborhood, but when you go there, finds out that there are also some problems, and you cannot constantly escape from challenges, and you will be happier if you adapt to the situations and find a new solution every time you approach a problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any more ideas?
My takeaway is to use Canva. Well, you can laugh at, I love Kanban as a tool, and this is a takeaway because both of you used Kanban in both projects, and it was you used different processes, but the Kanban was the tool to visualize the process. And for me, Kanban, you can develop any process or easily change the process with changing commands. So if you start with Kanban, you can develop the process according to your needs and needs on your team. I use Kanban personally and professionally, so for me it's the good
tool.
takeaway, yeah.
Okay.
I think they use the Scrumban, not Kanban.
That was a bit of Scrumban. So do you think we give the gadget for that?
Sure. Just a word from me. Yeah. Actually, one of the key elements of Kanban is this board. Yeah, and I fully agree that this visualization is really, really good. Yeah, so that everyone can see where we are with our work.
Let me say one more thing. I'm using Kanban to write some keys. Because in basic Kanban, in proper Kanban, you have to do, doing, done. Yeah, and when Saturday
Okay.
comes and your family starts to clean the house, yeah, there are certain tasks. So you put this task on the left side of grid, yeah. Then people take my kids and me and my wife take the tasks, and after the cleaning the part of the house, they move it either to the right side or they throw it to the trash. So when a kid comes to you and says, "Daddy, can I go to visit my friends?" I say, "The fridge will tell the truth." Yes. So you can take the kids by the hand, go to the fridge and look at as you do that in your team. Yeah. So you see, you look at the flow of the work.
Yeah, very nice idea. Yeah? Okay. So maybe let's just 1 minute. So let's go to the last slide maybe. It's,
The cost of changing the process, because I'm asking that because I currently work in Scrum team, and we had an approach to switching to Kanban or Scrumban, but we decided it would be too costly because we would have to make over the backlog and the other things. What's your experience with that?
and why do you think it's too costly?
Because we would have to reorganize the backlog in Jira in our case.
Uh-huh.
It would take a lot of time, and the time was very
So you have backlog, you have Jira, you have tools. I believe you have everything to run Kanban. So actually, this is my personal, my personal opinion, yeah. Because we use Jira, we have backlog organized over there. I believe this is only a matter to start using this, to start with something, and then to adapt, yeah.
So maybe from the other side, did you introduce the new process gradually or just make the change over time?
I would say it was gradually, yeah. So actually, as I said, the team was asking about the change. I started this. I was relying very much on people power because I found out that actually there are people which want to help you. Yeah, even though you don't ask for this help, because they care. And I would say I used that manpower and that motivation. Yeah, so that people started by themselves introducing changes in the process and introducing, actually bringing up ideas, yeah, how to work more effectively. They discovered, as I told you and showed an example, they started introducing ideas and bringing this to the team. And I was always asking for openness, and if they felt that something is not working, so we were discussing.
I have a question. Because the thing that is also always bothering me is how do you measure the efficiency of your team, and when or how do you know that, for example, if you did 2 elephants during the sprint, I saw that is all that really the team could do, and you would not be able to fit another elephant, or at least one.
Just one comment. So it went out that elephant is too big, yeah, for us. Yeah. So actually, it went out that elephants are too big animals for us. Yeah. So the biggest one were horses, something like this. Yeah.
That's also good enough.
You know, I believe that the only measurement is the business perspective. If we deliver what we should deliver, or what we committed to deliver, or if we don't deliver. So this is the simplest metric we can provide. You know, we can measure velocity, we can measure number of run test cases, number of discovered defects, but there are pros and cons of these approaches. So I believe that
Do you deliver all
no.
That's the continue of my question. So how do you know that the whole idea of self-organizing team and all the the backlog that the person is taking on his own is what is bothering me is how can we assure that we are really doing what we could, and how we know that that's our best, especially if we are not delivering.
So the assumption is that we will always do at our best.
And life,
And life looks different, but we do all the best we can, right? And we can, of course, in terms of the metrics, we can compare a lot of things and a lot of data as a defect arrival over time, the difference between the previous releases or the previous projects and the current ones, and there are many managerial metrics that we can use. However, providing the project over time and keeping the people focused on the things that we are supposed to do and solving issues and conflicts on time, like very soon, it is a key. Like based on the observations, working with senior leaders, it is what they very much care about.
Okay, but do you, sorry, I keep asking questions.
Yeah, I will also mention that we have a bag. It's empty now, and if you and if there's anything on the adaptation that you would like to share that you take away from this presentation and from this talk, I will be happy to hand this over to you. Okay.
It's nice to use animals with things. Since we have so many also problems with the storage point type of it, then maybe trying to use animals is a good thing. And the question is like, we always need some time for that adaptation. So how long have you tried with this team of 25 before you decided to fit them into some stuff?
That was based on my internal feelings. So I just started working, and after 1 or 2 weeks, I started discussions with mentor and my manager. So that was, I think, a pretty quick, I would say. And with that, I will also add that to your previous question, we had discussions that were gradually and they were evolving and they lasted roughly 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then we made a change overnight. So that was a pretty quick change that we gathered the team and communicated that we would like to split the team into the systems and sub-teams and provide them the proposal, what are the boundaries that we would like to achieve, and then the team was very happy to go for it and do the changes, and then they also adapted.
Okay, can I ask for one more thing?
Yep.
Can you show us the previous slide and comment on that? This one?
Yeah, so this is the story that I shared about the wolves. Thank you for asking about that. Is based on the book that you can get. It's Wolf Leader and its Strategies to Survive in an Uncertain Environment by the German person, I believe.
Okay. So let's again thank Guy.
Łukasz, thank you for all your questions. Thank you very much.